All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So we have some powerful stuff to talk about today in this video with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the golden key that was given to him, and the bearable guy Riddles here with a golden key, the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart, and the recent pullback that we have seen over the last week, and what I've been doing over the last week, and the reason why I haven't made a video in about 8 days, and what I said in my previous video about XRP that is playing out right now on the price chart to the T in what I'm expecting to happen next for XRP to the US dollar price chart, for XRP to Bitcoin's price chart. And if you stick to the end of this video, you'll discover the best ways to make money in crypto while the market goes down. So you're not just sitting there watching your portfolio bleed out, hoping and praying that the markets are going to recover. By the end of this video, you'll discover how to actually trade the markets to be able to make money during any market conditions. So if you like making money, if you like crypto, then you're going to love this video. As always, comment 777 if you guys are feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree. Confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So over the past week, I've taken time off from shooting content, and this has actually been the longest time that I've taken off from filming videos on YouTube in over 4 years. I've been in Siesta Key with my girlfriend and my family, spending some time on the beach, and it's absolutely incredible, and it's amazing the type of money that you guys can make in crypto, regardless of what happens in the market when you develop the skill set to actually trade. So while I was on the beach, I was catching some trades on my phone. And while Bitcoin and XRP and the rest of the market has been dropping, you guys can see my total P&L is up 17% and up $28,000 from good long and short opportunities in the market. So you guys don't need a fancy brand. You don't need a big YouTube channel. You don't need to be a polished speaker to be able to make money online. I just like to make videos because it's fun and I want to educate people, and it keeps me active, because if I'm just making money trading on my phone, that's cool, but I like the best of both worlds. You know, that's why I've been making YouTube videos for over 10 years. But if you guys are uncomfortable on camera, you don't want to build a business, and you want to learn how to make money behind the scenes, trading crypto during bull markets and bear markets, then we just released our Technical Analysis Essentials classroom inside of Altcoin Pro University that you can go through right now. I'll leave a link in the description below, and it's only $97. And if you don't get value, we have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So guys, worst case scenario, you learn the skill set to trade the markets that can change your life. And if it's not the right thing for you, then no big deal. We have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't get value, or if you don't get results, you have nothing to lose. But the best case scenario is you actually change your life, because what's taught in these modules right here have absolutely changed my life. I would not be able to travel the world. I would not be able to unplug whenever I want, go to the beach, if I didn't have the skill set to trade. So I've been trading crypto for nearly 10 years, and my research team even longer than me. So what's taught inside of those modules have absolutely changed my life, guys. And there's over 100 different modules inside of Altcoin Pro University teaching you everything you can imagine about crypto, with live calls every single week with my research team that are a lot smarter than me. Believe that. I just have a very select few skills that allow me to print money on demand. So in today's video, we're talking about what's happening in the markets, because this video Donald Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, I thought was very interesting.
We have here a very special, that I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of this.
Thank you. This is a lot. The luck of this is amazing.
A large lot.
Now, if you guys watched my video 13 days ago, that got about 49,000 views. We played this clip right here where Donald Trump had all the top executives in the crypto space. You know, you can see Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple is on the other side of the table. And right here we have the golden FIFA trophy, where Trump was given another key that unlocked the trophy here, causing a lot of people to speculate that that was the golden key on the table. And now Elon Musk received this golden key right here from Trump. We also had the oyster and the pearl on this golden yellow path here that could potentially symbolize the Pearl Monument here in Qatar, because while Trump was out in the Middle East meeting with the Saudis, well, Ripple was making some massive power moves in the Middle East as well. And if you guys didn't watch that video, I broke down the gematria behind Pearl Qatar, on top of Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road's Twitter account and their banner image potentially being this missing blue rectangle in the castle here, and some other interesting Easter eggs that are just too strange to ignore. But we can sit here and speculate all we want about conspiracy theories, or we can focus on what's actually happening on the charts that tells us a story of what's going to happen next. Because in my last video about 8 days ago that got about 28,000 views, I shared with you guys what was happening on the charts and my expectation that was coming next. And this is what I said.
And XRP is sitting at $2.37 on the daily. If we look at the stochastic RSI right here, it's at 32 and 23 for the K line, the D line. We're still in a downtrend on the stochastic RSI. We saw a bearish cross right here. And so this is similar to what happened right around here between the end of August of 2017 until the beginning of September when XRP saw this breakout from the low. The stochastic RSI experienced a bullish cross down here below 20, comes all the way up above 80, bearish cross, another bearish cross, the stochastic RSI resets, the price comes all the way back down within this zone of support right here at about 14, 15 cents, forms a bullish cross below 20 again, and then reverses back to the upside. So this is what we look for. So because we're in a downtrend on the stochastic RSI, I would want to see it come all the way down here below 20 and get as close to zero as possible for both the K line and the D line. We're at 32 and we're at 23. So yes, XRP could bobble around here for a while. It could even push higher if Bitcoin starts to break out, seeing a reversal on the stochastic RSI, but eventually I would want it to come back down below 20 to consider entering into XRP, because the risk to reward ratio in the middle of a range on the daily chart right here is just not there. There's just too much risk to the downside, because if XRP pulls back with Bitcoin, it could come all the way back down within this zone of support, similar to what happened here after August of 2017 until September. XRP dropped about 47%. So from the recent local high on this breakout of about $2.65 to pull back within the zone is roughly 20 to 30%. That's where I would want to accumulate more XRP, while the stochastic RSI would be down here below 20, and we would see where the relative strength index would be at that point. As you guys can see, the RSI doesn't need to be below 30 to get a good entry point. That's why we use confluence with the stochastic RSI, because on that pullback, it brought it back down to about 37 before it bounced on the relative strength index in the past. Right now, the RSI is at 53, so it's in the middle of a range. So we accumulate when the RSI is very, very close to 30 or below it, and the stochastic RSI is all the way down here below 20 on aggressive pullbacks in the market. Or we wait for breakouts and back tests of previous range highs, which in this case would be like $2.65 for XRP. That's the most recent high. So unless we clear that high and hold it as support, we could just see something similar to what we saw right here, which would be, washing machine price action for XRP before a sell-off to the downside with Bitcoin. So watch the stochastic RSI. If I just circle when we were down here below 20 for an extended period of time, it was on these pullbacks for XRP on the daily chart. And so we're almost there, but we're not there yet. Subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to keep covering this for you guys, and I'll point it out for you, just like I pointed out right here when we were down below 20 for both the K line and the D line on the stochastic RSI, and the price was at $2.08. Ideally, we wanted to see it dip within the zone before breaking out, but you can't get too greedy to the downside. That's why we use these indicators.
And if you guys look on the right-hand side of the screen, that's exactly what happened. The stochastic RSI is now at 5 and 2 for the K line and the D line, all the way down here, and the price has pulled back since that point to about $2.09. And at the time making this video, XRP is bouncing a little bit to $2.17. However, we are still in a downtrend right now, forming lower highs on the price chart and lower lows. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to what I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes, because what we're seeing happen on the Bitcoin price chart right now will tell all for altcoins over the next few weeks and next few months, because Bitcoin's recent local high right here above $112,000 came with a golden cross right here where the 50 moving average crossed above the 200 moving average. And if we look at the last bull run, when we saw a golden cross take place for Bitcoin, it was right around the middle of September of 2021 when Bitcoin pulled back from about $53,000 to about $39,000, 25%. So currently right now, Bitcoin's pullback is only about roughly 8%. And a pullback of 25% at this stage in the bull run, well, that's $84,000. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin's going to pull back to $84,000? Not necessarily, because as you guys can see last bull run, when Bitcoin broke out from that low of 29K to 53K, we were still below the high of the 13th of April right here of $64,000. But there's reasons to believe the sell-off to the downside is still not over yet, and I'll explain why. If we look right here at the stochastic RSI for Bitcoin right now on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can see the K line and the D line are at 1.5 and 1.94. So we are in oversold territory for the stochastic RSI on the daily chart, similar to what happened here by the 10th of September of 2021 when the stochastic RSI dropped down. Bitcoin experienced a sharp pullback of about 17% back down to the the 50 and the 200 SMA right before this golden cross took place. And the relative strength index dropped down below 50. It was around 42 in this bearish divergence right here. And if you guys remember my previous video, I talked about what a bearish divergence is. It's where key indicators like the relative strength index, the stochastic RSI, or even the MACD are forming lower highs, as you can see right here on the left-hand side of the screen, right up here where I'm pointing right now. And from the 30th of July, you guys can see what happened on the price chart where Bitcoin was putting in higher highs. The relative strength index was putting in lower highs. Now for Confluence here, you can also see the stochastic RSI was putting in lower highs all the way until the 5th of September before dropping down near zero to reset. And that's what we want to see to get a better entry point. Because if you guys are buying when the stochastic RSI is in overbought conditions above 80 or close to 100, well then the majority of the time you're buying local highs. But when you can spot things like divergences, you can understand when momentum is going to shift over from bullish to bearish and also from bearish to bullish. Because when the stochastic RSI resets all the way down here as close to zero as possible, it doesn't necessarily mean that the sell-off is over. That's why we look for divergences. For example, when Bitcoin sold off really quick to the 50, we saw it consolidate on top of the 50 and the 200 while that golden cross was happening, where this blue line crosses above this red line. That's the 50 crossing above the 200 moving average. We see these recovery rallies all the time, and they're usually bull traps. They get a lot of people to come back into the market and start buying up this rally, thinking that the market's just going to recover. And we usually see capitulations or final sell-offs right here to shake everyone out, liquidate the longs before sending the market higher. And this is what I believe is coming next for Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoin market that is going to shake a lot of people out and cause a lot of panic that you need to be ready for. But you can also profit from it as well too. Because when you look at the stochastic RSI right here on that recovery rally, when Bitcoin rallied from about $42,000 back to 49K above the 50 and the 200 while this golden cross was taking place, we saw the relative strength index bounce from 43 back up to 54, ultimately putting in another lower high before getting rejected down to about 32. The stochastic RSI bounced up, saw a bearish cross, and then ultimately a higher low, while the price chart was putting in a lower low, and that's a bullish divergence. Now, we didn't see a bullish divergence on the relative strength index because while the price chart was putting in a lower low, the relative strength index was putting in a lower low. But it was a good sign because the RSI was all the way down here near 30, which is a good entry point on the macro. Because as you can see, the price chart right here was down at $39,000, an absolute incredible entry point for Bitcoin, entering in based on this bullish divergence on the stochastic RSI. Now, currently on the price chart, we can see the stochastic RSI has reset all the way down here below zero. The relative strength index has sold off to about 50, but it's interesting because while we've experienced higher highs on the price chart, we haven't really experienced lower highs for a bearish divergence on the relative strength index. We've been putting in higher highs as well too, but on the stochastic RSI, we have seen a bearish divergence. So it's a little bit different than 2021's bull run, but this is what I'm looking for. With this recent sell-off for Bitcoin, if we see a recovery in the short term for Bitcoin, I think it would be a failed rally for the price chart as well as the relative strength index to put in a lower high, along with the stochastic RSI forming a bullish cross. Well, if Bitcoin's price gets rejected and comes down to the 50 SMA or even the 200 SMA, then what I would want to see is a potential higher low on the stochastic RSI, while the price chart is forming a lower low for a bullish divergence, because eventually I would expect Bitcoin to break out even higher. So I talked about this pullback several weeks ago for Bitcoin, and we just didn't know when it would happen. And if it's happening right now, then you have to be ready for this, because this could present the last opportunity to get an incredible entry point for Bitcoin before the next breakout and the bull market peak before we head into a bear market. Because ultimately, on a much more macro time frame, this could play out to be a major bearish divergence on the relative strength index and on the stochastic RSI as well too for Bitcoin's price chart as we break back out into price discovery. So the fact that we just experienced a golden cross right here with the 50 SMA crossed above the 200, similar to what happened right here for Bitcoin when Bitcoin was making that recovery rally, then a final sell-off before sending the markets higher. Well, if we see that play out for Bitcoin's price chart over the next few weeks, and even the next month or two before sending the markets higher, then you need to be able to learn how to capitalize on opportunities like this to make money while the markets go down, to have more capital for when the markets finally reverse back to the upside. So rather than just throwing $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 into the market while we're in a downtrend and watching that money bleed out, That's why you want to join Altcoin Pro University right now so you guys can actually develop the skills to trade. And this isn't hype, guys. These are facts. Over the past week, my profit and loss is $28,000. Trading, that has nothing to do with my business, which generates even more income actually helping people develop skills to pay the bills. Let's look at the XRP, the US dollar price chart, because XRP right here on the right-hand side of the screen just experienced a death cross. And a death cross is just the opposite of a golden cross. A golden cross, like what I just showed you guys, is when a shorter moving average crosses above a longer one. So this blue line right here, the 50 crossing above the 200 for Bitcoin, that happened right here in September of 2021. It also happened right here for this current bull run. Whereas a death cross is just the opposite. It's the 50 crossing below the 200, like we saw happen right here in April of 2025, also right here in June of 2021 when Bitcoin was selling off. So the death cross for Bitcoin that happened was virtually at the bottom of that sell-off right here. You can see shortly after the death cross, Bitcoin bottomed out at $75,000. And also same thing right here for 2021. Bitcoin bottomed out shortly after that at about $28,000 before reversing back to the upside. So looking at XRP's price chart, the death cross just recently took place, and the 50 and the 200 are very close together, similar to what we actually saw happen here in November of 2017. But if we bring up the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator compared to the past, in terms of time frame at where we are in this market cycle, it's more comparable to where we were right here for XRP around September of 2017, which is why I made that comparison in my previous video to this price action right here for XRP when it sold off. And that's what we're going through right now on the right-hand side of the screen. The real question is, how low does XRP go before it bounces? If we look at this support right here, we can see these massive wicks right around the $1.95 to $2 region right here, even with this massive sell-off all the way down to $1.60. So if we see XRP further sell off to the downside, if Bitcoin comes back down closer to the 50 or the 200 SMA, that would just affect XRP even more, because what I'm going to share with you guys on the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart. But this is actually a good sign because you can make money on the way down, applying what you learn inside of Altcoin Pro University, and then not financial advice, but you could rotate it into XRP the lower that it goes to get a better entry point. Now, as you guys know, these videos are purely for educational, informational purposes only. I'm not going to tell you to buy XRP. I'm not going to tell you to sell XRP. I'm just going to tell you what I see on the charts and what I see in the markets, and then what you choose to do is up to you, because you can definitely lose money in crypto. But if we just look at XRP, the US dollar on the daily, on the stochastic RSI, we can see the K line and the D line are 4.94 and 2.42 in oversold conditions. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we just go up from here because we look for divergences. For example, look at what happened right here back in September 2017 when we experienced a bullish cross for the stochastic RSI all the way down here at 4.35. Well, the price bounced from about 14.9 cents all the way up here to nearly 20 cents. The stochastic RSI reversed to the upside, and then we saw a higher low on the stochastic RSI. Now, we did see a higher low on the price chart. Sometimes the way these divergences play out is when we see a bounce like this, we actually see a lower low get put in before we see a recovery in the market. So this is what you have to be careful for and you have to be ready for, because when the stochastic RSI resets all the way down here close to zero on that bullish cross, we generally see a pullback before a continuation higher. And that pullback can either put in a higher low on the price chart. In this case, that's what we saw by the 22nd of September, or it can put in a lower low for a better entry point. For example, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, currently, we just experienced a bullish cross. It has not confirmed because the K line and the D line have not passed back above 20. We're right here at 5.3 and 2.56, right about here where I'm pointing right now. And so if we saw the K line and the D line pop up really quick, along with the relative strength index, well, then XRP's price would make a short-term bounce. But you have to be careful here because usually, like I just said, when the stochastic RSI resets, we see a pullback here in the short term before the markets get sent higher. And if that's a higher low for the stochastic RSI and a lower low on the price chart, well, this is what we need to be ready for, because XRP is still in a downtrend. Like I just mentioned at the beginning of this video, we're just putting in lower highs and we've been putting in lower lows. So until that changes and we clear a recent local high, the trend is your friend. And the trend doesn't change when we break a descending resistance. It changes when we break a horizontal resistance. So in this case right here, I can see it about $2.36. Another resistance right here at about $2.50. So my expectations for XRP in the short term is maybe we push a little bit higher to come closer to this descending resistance at about $2.20. But eventually I would expect XRP to come back down to backtest $2.10, potentially even lower before we see the markets reverse to the upside. So for that reason, I would be very careful longing XRP right now, because if we look at the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart, it also tells us the same story compared back to the past. we just experienced a death cross on the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart, where the 50 SMA crossed below the 200. And if we look back here to August of 2017, we saw the same thing happen, and then XRP bleed out in comparison to Bitcoin, while Bitcoin outperformed XRP. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that XRP's price does terrible. For example, in the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart, if this goes down, well, that could mean that XRP goes sideways while Bitcoin goes up, because Bitcoin could outperform XRP. It could also mean that Bitcoin goes sideways and XRP goes down, but nonetheless, we need to look at this chart because we are in a downtrend still, forming lower highs. The stochastic RSI did just experience a bullish cross, but like I just mentioned, when we see these bullish crosses happen, a lot of the times they're fake outs and we come back down before the stochastic RSI reverses to the upside. And those are just failed recovery rallies for lower lows while we're in a downtrend. Similar to what we saw happen right here on August of 2017 on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see right here, there was a bullish cross. The stochastic RSI comes all the way up here. XRP outperformed Bitcoin, but it rallied into this death cross. And then we saw the stochastic RSI come right back down while XRP just bled out to Bitcoin from August of 2017 until December of 2017. That was right when XRP peaked out right here at about 29 cents and experienced that sell-off after transitioning from yellow to green in the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator. And so with the local high for XRP right here on the 12th of May at about $2.65, now experiencing a sell-off after transitioning from yellow to green in Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, well, we just saw XRP to Bitcoin's price chart rally into this death cross and get rejected, similar to what we saw happen right here around August of 2017, rally into the death cross, get rejected, simultaneously after we transitioned from yellow to green in Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, very similar to what happened in the past, we are going through again. So does that mean to just sell your XRP and get out now? Well, not necessarily. It depends on your strategy. If you're holding XRP for the long term, I do think there is another rally coming for XRP where XRP will outperform Bitcoin. But like I've said in previous videos, I do think that's coming at the end of this year because these riddles right here are always posted New Year's Eve, right before Christmas. And as you guys know, for those of you that have been holding XRP for any period of time, you guys know that XRP goes through these long, grueling, boring, sideways ranging markets. And then all of a sudden, in a matter of like a week to 3 weeks, bam, we see these massive green candles come in and these explosive breakouts. That's what I think is coming for XRP, but I think it's going to happen at the tail end of the bull run. And it's unfortunate because people that are holding XRP are just expecting it to explode any minute now because of YouTube videos out there. And they don't pay close attention to what I'm sharing in these videos because they're too blinded by the fear of missing out, thinking that XRP is just going to explode to the upside because they saw some gematria video. And I get it. It's exciting to think about the possibilities here, but we just need to look at the facts that are presented to us and move accordingly so we don't get wrecked. And that's how I was able to make over $7,000 on just one trade shorting XRP. So I can promise you guys, you will learn so much inside of Altcoin Pro University that will help you become a better trader. Now, I make no guarantees of income because my results are going to differ from your results, obviously, depending on how much capital you have to put into the markets. You know, some people have $10 million, some people have $1 million, some people have 100,000, some people only have $1,000 or $100. But don't compare your level 1 to someone else's level 100. The best thing that you can do is get started with where you're at, with what you have, and in 1 year from right now, you will thank yourself for starting today. And if you guys want to discover the top opportunities that will pop up even while the markets go down, so you can find the next 5x, 10x, 50x, then that's what our research team will provide you with. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now. Watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.
To the canyons fall, the great awakening's calling you.
My fellow Americans and time-traveling patriots, where we go one, we go all together. One nation, under God,